ひなこはお友達といつまでも一緒にいたい。
Silent Hill fans were spoiled recently when Konami broadcast a transmission video that gave us all a deeper look at its upcoming game, Silent Hill F. During this transmission, the developers and hosts were very keen to point out that, while F is still a Silent Hill game in essence, rather than being a Western-set horror game with a uniquely Japanese vibe to it like the older Silent Hills were, F was a horror game with a 100% Japanese identity. But what does that even mean? Well, join me, Eurogamer's Ian Higton, as I tell you about 7 things that we learned about Silent Hill F and 1 thing that we didn't following the recent transmission video. According to the developers, the main concept of Silent Hill F is to find beauty in terror, which is something I try and fail to do every morning when I look in the mirror. How the game's schoolgirl protagonist Hinako will do this when it seems like people are intent on peeling her face off is anybody's guess, but ultimately, according to the Steam description of the game, she will need to embrace the beauty hidden within terror, or succumb to the madness that lies ahead. One of the main plot points of the game, we were told during the transmission, is that it is a tale about a beautiful yet terrifying choice. Whatever that choice is, we don't yet know, but chances are we're going to have to push through a hell of a lot of terror to find anything beautiful in this world. F is set in 1960s Japan, in a rural town called Ebisugaokato, or however you pronounce it. It's a place whose old-style buildings have been inspired by a real-world location called Kaneyama. According to the transmission, the developers actually went to Kaneyama to gather reference photos and record on-location ambient audio, and they then used old-school reference materials from the 60s to de-age the areas that they took photos of for the game, which is nice. But it was Kaneyama's labyrinthine alleyways and buildings with shifting structures that were listed as the original reasons why the team chose this small town. So I sent Unscripted Ian to go and check out Kaneyama on Google Earth VR to see just what this place looks like in real life.
Hello there, Unscripted Ian here, and as you can see, I am floating above Kaneyama-garu in the Gifu Prefecture of Japan, which is the real-world location that has inspired the town featured in Silent Hill F. Now, from up here, we can see that it is a fairly small town built along a river in this kind of valley surrounded by loads of mountains. Obviously, it doesn't look too spooky from up here. Everything is kind of just like a flat texture pasted onto the ground. But in my left hand here, I have a ball of truth, which I can place my face inside in order to be magically transported to that town. And I'll be able to use it to wander around the street views version of Kaneyama. And as we can see instantly, one of the first things I've found is this building, which definitely has old school 1960s Japan vibes to it, with the wooden doors and the old stone front and things. So one of the things I love about Japan is there's often like this kind of clash of modern versus traditional stuff here. So we've got this fairly modern looking building here right next door to this little shrine, and then this very old timber built structure here, which honestly has probably stood there since the time that Silent Hill F is set in the 1960s. So I've just randomly clicked on a street here. I'm just trying to look for these kind of labyrinthine passageways and stuff that was talked about in the presentation. We can see, however, a lot of the shifting shapes of buildings that were mentioned. And again, we've got here a modern building absolutely attached to something that has a very historical look to it. Even this building here on this side here has got like rotten wood on the front, an old lantern, very much a traditional shaped building. Look at this cool building. There is definitely some old school looking architecture here, including this bridge, the stonework that goes underneath. There's like a little river or something here, or a drainage ditch that goes underneath this rickety structure. But while we've got modern stuff on the right here, including a vending machine, on the left there's this beautiful old building and these crazy old lanterns here. I'd love to be able to see down this passageway, but I don't think the Google Earth car is lining up with these passageways too well. But that sort of building there and the aging on it and stuff, that is, I would struggle to believe that something like this hasn't been used in part of the design process of Silent Hill F's town. But look at this building here. Look at that. And look down here. I would love to be able to go down here with Google Earth, because that looks like you could imagine the red fungal flora coming off these walls here and the fog coming up. That is absolutely 100% a spooky AF alley down there. Being able to virtually set foot in this place definitely helps me understand why this area was chosen as the inspiration for Silent Hill F. I mean, look at these buildings here. Beautiful. And, with great potential for being proper spooky with the right lighting and fog. Now, allegedly, right here is a shrine, and a lot of shrines feature in the Otherworld version of Silent Hill F's town. I don't think I can get up there with Google Earth VR, and I think it's up there somewhere, perhaps up this road here. Unfortunately, the Google Earth car didn't travel up there, so I'll have to show you some photos instead. But again, you can see that the inspiration here is pretty obvious. Ooh, okay, so I can kind of see it here. I've come up a side road, and there you can see the entrance to the shrine up there with the Torii gate in and everything, just disappearing up into the darkness of those woods. Very suitably spooky location for a game. So I can totally see why this location was an inspiration. Oh, what an excellent rhyme. Right, let's go back to Scripted Ian with the next point on this list.
Due to the fact that Silent Hill F is set in Japan, which is at least 5,810 miles away from the actual town of Silent Hill, its developers have stated officially that it is a completely independent story to the previous games in the series. That's not to say that there will be absolutely no links to games gone by, however, as it was stated in the transmission that there will be Easter eggs in F for long-time fans to enjoy. What those Easter eggs will be, considering the date the game is set and how far away it is from the original location, remains to be seen. But I do think my next point may be just one example of the way that F links to all the other games in the series. Ever since the first Silent Hill on the PS1, this one here, series protagonists have been bashing beasts over the bonce with a rusty old pipe. In perhaps the only thing that we've seen so far that ties F to all the other games in the series, Hinako can be seen wielding a trusty pipe in both the announcement trailer from 2022 and the most recent reveal trailer shown in the transmission too. In fact, the very first time we see Hinako in the original announcement trailer, we can see a rusty pipe laying by her feet next to a broken Jizu statue. Has she dropped it here while she pays her respects? Or could this be the location where she first finds the pipe in the game? Well, I don't know, I guess we'll find out, but what's interesting is that this is the only weapon we've seen so far in F. In previous Silent Hill games set in America, we've been able to arm the protagonists with an assortment of firearms, but something tells me this probably won't be the case for Silent Hill F. You know, what with guns being a lot harder to come by in Japan, and its protagonist being a teenage schoolgirl and all. That's not to say that there won't be more weapons in the game, but I struggle to imagine Hinako wandering around popping off shots with a rifle or blowing monsters apart with a shotgun, let alone having the strength to melee kill whatever this massive chicken leg looking beast is. I know I bloody wouldn't. There is a possibility that there may be some old, rusty World War II weapons to be found, seeing as this game is set in the 60s, but I do wonder what direction the combat will take in F. Perhaps this one will end up being more of a stealthier, monster-avoiding entry to the series, rather than one where we're constantly searching in drawers for boxes of ammo to unload on enemies. But what kind of grotesque monsters will we be terrorized by in Silent Hill F? Well, once again, the monsters in F are based on people's psyche and fears, and you'll find hints as to what traumas Hinako's nightmares draw from in the following point in this list. For this section, though, I thought I'd just show off a few of the creatures that we'll be fighting, or more likely fleeing from, as some of the horrors in the most recent trailer are only shown for a split second. This first one, the jittery mannequin type, is definitely similar in tone to monsters we've seen in previous Silent Hill games, and while it's scary, it'll probably be a fairly weak enemy type, as we can see in this following shot that Hinako has bashed its head in with her pipe. This needle-wielding, spiky-legged schoolgirl statue doesn't do anything in this shot except for stand still, so she is absolutely a jump scare waiting to happen. And talking about jump scares, yeah, I don't know who this is, but they don't seem too friendly to me at all. Next, there's more original monstrosities, like this moving mass of dolls on legs that we get a quick flash of, and the aforementioned chicken leg thing. And then there's this haunted-looking schoolboy that appears out of the smoke in this shot here. I'm not sure if he's actually going to be a bad guy or not at this point, but there seems to be some drawings of him later on in the trailer, which does make me wonder whether or not he might be the catalyst for Hinako's traumas. Oh, and then there's these fox mask-wearing teens in the other world. At first you'd be forgiven for thinking they might be friendly, as they appear to be tending to Hinako's wounds here. But then a knife appears and, well, this happens. So yeah, that seems not so friendly to me at all. And as for the big bad of the game, well, I feel like it probably has something to do with this hulking, flower-laden figure here. If you hadn't already guessed by now, Silent Hill F will be a psychological horror that touches on some really uncomfortable subjects and heavy themes. Previous games in the series have explored topics like guilt, trauma, and repressed memories, with monsters and locations in Silent Hill acting as physical reflections of the main character's inner struggles and fears. And judging by this mature content description on Steam, the change in location will not alter the series' focus on tackling some really difficult subjects, as it goes even so far as to warn you that, if you feel uncomfortable at any point while playing, you should take a break or speak to someone you trust. Just like in other Silent Hill games, Hinako's harrowing adventure will be split across two different worlds, Fogworld and Otherworld. Fogworld is pretty much similar to the Fogworlds in previous Silent Hill games, a foggy, deserted version of the actual place that's brimming with monsters hidden just out of sight. However, F's Otherworld seems radically different to ones we've experienced before. Previous Otherworlds have been metallic labyrinths, whereas here it seems like Hinako has been transported to the past, where temples are full of kitsune or fox statues. What's interesting here, however, is that things seem to be rotting rather than rusting in this game's version of Fogworld. Could this be due to the time and location that the game is set, perhaps, as more structures would have been timber-based rather than metallic? I'm also wondering about the way the game changes from Fogworld to Otherworld, and if there's a potential tie-in to the Steam warning that states that the game features drug-induced hallucinations. Could the fog in this game actually be spores kicked out by the strange flowers and fungus that's growing over every surface? And if so, could these spores actually be making Hinako hallucinate the other world? Going by this scene from the recent trailer, it does seem like the transition between worlds is being caused by the red flowers themselves. One thing that wasn't revealed in the transmission was the meaning of the lowercase f in the title Silent Hill F. At first I thought that maybe it was the first initial of the last word you'd say before being jump-scared by a multi-faced, multi-limbed baby doll monster, but I feel like it would be an uppercase F if that was the case. The internet has been guessing though, and there are plenty of theories ranging from the F standing for Silent Hill First, as it's set in the 60s, or even Silent Hill 5, although that seems unlikely as F will actually be the 7th game in the series if you include Silent Hills Homecoming and Downpour. Due to all the flora and fungal growths that appear throughout the trailers, and especially when the world changes from Fog World to Otherworld, the lowercase f could be the botanical symbol for former, which means a slight variation to the original strain. However, the most popular theory so far seems to be that the F is actually the musical symbol for forte, which means loud, something that would contradict the silent in Silent Hill. Either that or the F actually stands for food because of this delicious looking banquet here. Fleshy. But what the F do you think is going on with the title? Let us know your theories in the comments below. And that is pretty much all we learned from the recent Silent Hill transmission. But what do you think about the game so far? Let us know if you're planning on playing it, or if the change of location means that it's not really a true Silent Hill game in your eyes, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, press lowercase f to pay your respects and give it a like, and please do subscribe to Eurogamer for almost daily videos about video games. Oh, and if you're in the mood for more excellent preview coverage, why not check out one of these other videos that are on screen and clickable right now. Goodbye.